All right, you guys, we have your last article for today. This one is about the sun, so we have a sun update, and it's been I'd probably say about a week since we've had any kind of sun update article on my end. So the last that I remember we left off was that we had about a week from the last video to basically prepare for the sunspots to be facing us essentially. In our last video, we got to see how ginormous the hole really was, if that's really how big it really was, but I think that's really how big it was. To be honest with you, this hole was ginormous, right? It was the size of multiple planets. And, here's yet again another picture of this giant gaping hole. So we have sun activity for September 18th. AR3089 nears return. Today's top news: the region we knew as AR3089 when it was on our side of the sun is about 2 days away from returning to the about 2 days away from returning to the sun's earth facing side. This region was very active when last seen directly from earth, and it's the region that sent a CME blast towards Europe's solar orbiter shortly before the spacecraft's early September flyby of Venus. The spacecraft is okay. AR3098 also produced a large flare when it was just about over the sun's limb. Just as we couldn't see it from the Earth anymore, estimated by solar orbiter to be an X-class flare, the strongest category of flare elsewhere on the sun at present. We see three labeled sunspot regions: AR31000 and AR3102 have both increased in size over the past 24 hours, and a large equatorial, I can't say that word, a coronal hole basically is nearing disk center. Several other coronal holes we've tracked this week continue their journey toward the sun's west limb edge, carried by the sun's rotation. Last 24 hours, sun activity has been moderate due to departing sunspot region AR3098. That region released several M flares earlier this week, the category of flare just under X, and now has released what was probably its last flare visible from just over the solar limb edge. In the past 24 hours alone, AR3098 released 3 M flares and 9 C flares. The largest event was an M2.6 at 2041 UTC on September 17th from AR3098. Next 24 hours, the forecast is for a 75% chance for C flare, 20% chance for M flares, and 5% chance for an X class flare. That is good. It's not good that we're getting blasted as much as we have been, but it is good in the sense that it's only about 5% chance of an X flare happening. It's about 5% chance. So it sounds pretty good to me. That sounds like we're probably not going to get hit with this X flare then. But it was just kind of ironic because about 2 weeks ago when I was covering this again, about 2 weeks ago, it had released a giant flare. I'm talking an X flare, but it wasn't facing the Earth though. It was before it started facing the Earth now. So this thing had just let off one of the craziest recorded explosions. We talked about it already in my old videos that I just did again 2 weeks ago. It had just let off a record-breaking flare, so we're just fortunate enough that we weren't facing at it at that point for it to hit us. But I can only imagine the catastrophic damage from that would have been had it actually did hit us. So there you go. You have 5% chance of X flares now happening. I believe that's what it's trying to say. Next expected CME. No Earth-directed CMEs observed at this time. Unsettled. Active conditions are anticipated later today, September 18th, with chances for a G1 minor geomagnetic disturbance later on today due to high-speed solar wind from the coronal hole. And again, I mean, there is no way that you can't just like be tripped out by that. Because then, like, if you're looking at the sun right here, right, and it's just these giant holes, like, that's crazy. That's big. That's really big. And I'm surprised we're not going to be suffering too bad from this like I thought. I mean, I thought we were going to, and they were kind of insinuating that some crazy shit was going to happen. But I think as time went on and their research has kind of just sat back and watched, I mean, all we can do is just sit back and watch. I guess they're figuring out now that I think the worst has come so far. Maybe we're not out of the woods quite yet. There's still that 5% chance of the X flare happening. So we're not quite out of the woods yet, but it's looking like we're getting through it pretty good. You know, I'm surprised myself personally because it just seemed like one after another, dude, like bam, boom. You know, we're just constantly getting hit with these solar flares, and all it needed to happen was it took one special flare just to knock everything off, right? That was the worst case scenario, and that doesn't seem to have happened yet. So, hallelujah. Let's just hope that, you know, we breeze through the rest of this just fine. But who's to say, though, that, you know, in another 20 years from now that we're not facing the same problem. And they've already said in other articles that this isn't quite over yet, that the full fledge of this is probably not going to be over until 2025. So just because we're doing okay right now and we, you know, we basically avoided a really, really bad one, that doesn't mean that we're still going to be out of the woods yet. We have until 2025 basically to prepare ourselves. You know, just because it didn't happen right now or it didn't happen today doesn't mean that it's not going to happen still at some point. So just, you know, keep your eyes on that sun. That's all I can say is just keep your eyes on the sun. Not literally, I mean, because then your eyes would burn out of your head, but you know, you mean just keep your eyes open for those sun updates because I'll be covering them still. The solar disk has 2 coronal holes on it. The one on the northwest has almost rotated from view. The larger is trans-equatorial, crosses the solar equator, and will soon be at the central meridian or longitude line near the disk center. The image is SDO 193 angle storms via SDO. Can't stop that flare and feeling woohoo. M2.6 from AR3098. Radio blackout over the Pacific. Oh wow. Yeah, okay, wow, that's crazy. There you go. Sun activity for September 17th. This was just the other day. The sunspot region AR3098 granted us 2 M-class flares in a row yesterday. The first one, almost an X-class flare, was an M7.9 flare at 10 UTC just 6 hours later. No, it was crazy the other day, actually. It was like, it was late at night, and I remember sitting here trying to go to sleep, and then all of a sudden the whole power went out, right? Like, the whole power went out. Everything went out for about like 20 minutes, and then it kicked back on, so I'm not sure if that had something to do with it either. Could have been. Just 6 hours later, AR3098 blasted out an M6.12 flare. No CME was associated with either flare. Both M flares provoked R2 moderate radio blackouts on Earth. The first radio blackout was over Africa, and the second over South America. It seems AR3098 didn't want to leave without a big show, and today AR3098 isn't showing on the solar disk. It's been carried out of view by the sun's rotation. Now our eyes are on AR3102, known as AR3088. During a previous transit on the solar disk, it provided mini blasts and CMEs a few weeks ago. For now, AR3102, it is the largest and most magnetically complex active region on the sun. So AR3102 is now in our lines of scope. It's going to be facing us again, so get ready for that. But AR3098 left a little surprise essentially for us the other day. No communications in Africa. South America got hit a little bit, and then as you can see right here, yeah, that's crazy. Another one, M6 plus flares progress from AR3098 as of 1612 UTC. Keep them coming. Radio blackout over the Americas. So I'm assuming what this means right here is that this is where the radio blackout was most heavy. So all of Africa, dude, all of Africa was in radio blackout. And then little parts of the United States right here. Of course, we in California didn't even feel shit. I mean, that didn't affect us in any way. But like I said, though, I mean, that whole blackout the other night, don't know if that had something to do with it. Anyways, you guys, that has been your guys' sun update, because these are kind of older ones, and I may just come back to do another read on these, perhaps, maybe. I kind of want something a little bit more recent. But, I mean, other than that, so a little bit of some good news, you know, a little bit of some good news, but we're, like I said, we're not quite out of the woods yet. Now we have to worry about the other AR102, essentially, as it's going to be crossing us, just like AR. I always forget the names. Oh yeah, okay. AR39, or excuse me, AR3089. So AR3089 is out of view. We don't have to worry about that anymore. Now it's just AR3100 and AR3102 are going to be the only ones we have to worry about now. But anyways, if more information comes up that's interesting for me to pass along to you guys, I'll be sure to do so. I hope you guys have enjoyed your little sun update, you know, for the most part, and I'll see you guys in our next video. Y'all have a wonderful night, and thank you. And be sure to leave a like on the video for more sun update videos and things like that, or just anything that has to do with planets. You know, I love the planets, so I'll see you guys soon.